A fan sent me an iPhone 14 Pro Max. It's gray in color, and as you can clearly see, the back glass on the lower right corner is shattered. This is the first weak point of the phone. The middle frame also has severe scratches and paint loss. All four corners have varying degrees of scratches, paint loss, and bumps. Let's input the fan's password and check the system status. Click Settings General About. It shows it's a 128GB Chinese iPhone 14 Pro Max. Notice the model number it starts with, N, not M. So, this phone can still be fully green in the capacity expansion tool. Do you know why? The fan requested an upgrade to 1TB and to back up the original data. The tool shows that the phone is indeed an official model, and the original 128GB storage is from the Flash brand. Let's open iTunes, Apple's official software, select Setup as a new iPhone. Click Continue, then Start Using, select Backup Automatically, and choose this computer. Then click Backup Now. We don't need to encrypt the phone, but the lock screen password must be entered to trust the computer. Then wait a moment until it shows Backed Up at Time. This means the entire phone has been backed up. Is it safe to expand storage on a phone that has suffered a heavy fall? Why does the expansion tool still show green after an official replacement? We'll heat the phone for 3 to 5 minutes on a heating pad. Since the back glass is broken, we'll use a screen separator to lift a small gap in the screen, then slide around the screen to open it. After opening, we observe the phone. It seems this phone has been opened before. The sticker on the back is damaged. We'll continue by protecting the Face ID components. First, remove all the screws holding the metal shield and remove it. Disconnect the battery. You can see that the foam on the back of the metal shield serves as a buffer. Disconnect the battery and the display/touch and sensor flex cables. Then we can remove the screen. Now, let's carefully examine the screen. There seems to be burn marks near the bottom of the screen. The upper sticker is indeed damaged. The sensor cable also looks like it has been disassembled. Next, let's look inside the casing. This is the rear camera, earpiece, and the mainboard. The card slot is welded onto the mainboard. The L-shaped black part is the battery. Next, we have the vibrator, charging port, and speaker. Let's now focus on the rear glass. The weak point is directly under the vibrator. If we go higher, we might damage the battery. So let's start by removing the mainboard. Disconnect all the external cables connected to the mainboard. To remove the mainboard, we also need to take out the earpiece components. Then, we can remove the Face ID module. See this large screw here? We need to take it out to remove the mainboard. Remove the external card slot, and the mainboard can be taken out. Since the iPhone 14 Pro Max has a dual-layer mainboard, we need to check if there are any deformations or cracks on the mainboard in all directions. If there are minor issues, the expansion is not possible. After inspecting the mainboard, there is no major damage. So we proceed with the expansion. We'll remove the foam and stickers from the mainboard. The silver white component is the storage. We'll protect the surrounding area of the storage and fix the mainboard in a fixture. We'll preheat the mainboard and storage for a bit with a hot air gun. Then, we'll treat the edge glue around the storage to prevent damage during the removal of the storage. Add a small amount of flux and remove the original 128GB flash storage. The solder points on the storage removal pad are perfectly flat. We'll add flux to the pads, reflow the solder points, and then flatten them with a solder wick. Now, let's clean the solder pads. Next, we'll compare the original 128GB storage with the 1TB storage. It's clear that 128GB, 256GB, and 512GB storage are all smaller than the 1TB storage, but when the iPhone 14 Pro series was designed, the mainboard was built to fit a 1TB storage module, so, aside from the storage module, the rest of the mainboard components are the same. Now, let's implant new solder balls on the 1TB storage. We'll check that the solder points are well formed and even. Next, we'll reheat the storage pads and apply a small amount of flux. Then we'll install the 1TB storage. We'll heat it until the storage clicks into place, and it should have a bouncy effect when touched. Once done, clean everything and let it cool. Then, remove the mainboard from the fixture and remove the protective tapes. We'll clean the mainboard thoroughly, both the front, back, and sides. Add black glue around the storage and let it cure. Then, add new foam and new stickers. Now, let's inspect the mainboard. It looks perfect. Since the middle frame also has scratches and paint loss, the fan decided to replace the entire middle frame. Let's remove the rear camera and protect it. We'll also need to take out the LiDAR sensor because it's encrypted. Next, remove the vibrator and speaker. For some models, the vibrator is also encrypted. Now we can remove the battery adhesive. At this point, all important components inside the casing have been removed. Let's take out a new replacement frame and clean off any residual glue. We'll replace the vibrator and speaker with the original ones. We'll also replace the LiDAR sensor with the original one. Now, we can install the rear camera. Clean the metal shield and install the mainboard. Secure the mainboard with screws and reinstall the Face ID and earpiece modules. Next, apply new battery adhesive to the battery. Now, reinstall the battery into the casing. We'll clean any remaining glue from around the casing. Apply a new waterproof adhesive and clean the back of the screen, then install the screen. The final step is to reconnect the battery. Peel off the waterproof adhesive's protective layer, then close the screen. We'll place the phone in a pressure tool for pressing. After successful pressurization, remove the phone, install the screws on the back. Since we replaced the storage chip, the phone won't turn on right away. We'll need to restore it to DFU mode and use the tool to install the latest system. Once the system is installed, the phone will reboot and go to the activation screen. We'll use the activation tool to activate it. Then, we'll test basic functions like Wi-Fi and sound. Next, go to Settings General. About to confirm, we've successfully upgraded a 128GB iPhone 14 Pro Max official version to 1TB. We'll also restore the user's data back onto the phone. Connect the phone to the computer, open iTunes, select the backup and click Continue. This process takes some time. Once the restoration is complete, it will show as restored. This means all the apps and data are back. Thanks to every fan for your support. If you like my work, double tap the screen. And don't forget to follow if you haven't already.